I think we are live. But here's the thing. First time for everything. So no doubt I'm going to make a massive hash of this. Anyway, today guys we're playing Farthest Frontier. I think it's a relatively new game out. It's certainly you know, in the kind of pre-release or whatever it's called, early release. But actually the game is pretty slick in terms of how it plays. And good morning. Yeah, first stream, first video. Honestly, kind of petrified, but we're gonna have a go. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what the plan is for this. Or I'll tell you a little bit about me. So, your normal average gamer. I'm no expert at any game. I like to play for fun, just to relax, just to unwind. Not trying to challenge myself and world domination or whatever. I'm not even going to tell you I'm any good at any of these games, but I plan to have some fun. I'm a normal working guy, and it's just nice to come home and chill out and have a couple of hours where you can just switch off from your stresses of your day to day, and just have a little bit of fun playing games. So what I've got here for you today is Farthest Frontier. It's a game that I love to play. Haven't played it for a while, admittedly, so you'll have to bear with me as I remember some of the keystrokes. Let's also get this started. And the thing that I want to focus on in this channel is, exactly this is the reason, this isn't what I'm trying to do. You're not going to find stuff where, I'm trying to take on the hardest challenges, the most difficult levels, to show what a legend I am at this game. Actually, it's the exact opposite. I want to show you where you can just go along and just have some fun, play the game because it's chilled. So let's get into this. I'm going to put it on Pacifist mode. I'm going to make a nice big map. I don't care about this, I don't care about this. Full resources, full hunting and wildlife, and not really too difficult at all. So this is almost like playing the game on the easiest level, just to kind of
life can be harsh.
Have some fun. So let's not worry about the intro so much. You can hit escape and get through this. So yeah, Farthest Frontier. What kind of people would like it? If you like SimCity, Age of Empires, things like that, I think you really like this game. It's got a lot of Age of Empires to it, but Age of Empires obviously is quite fighting based, or it can be quite conflict based. And this one you can do exactly the same thing, so you can get raided and you can get people coming after you. But actually, you can also switch it all off, which just allows you to go along and really tinker with the game's mechanics, understand what it is you're trying to do, and just have some fun, which again is exactly what it's about. This isn't about legend gaming, this isn't about taking on the hardest challenges, it's about having some fun. I don't think I could think of anything worse than coming home from a day at work, deciding to have a couple of hours just chilled out, and yeah, you just end up getting mauled by wolves and everything you built gets destroyed. So anyway, here we go. So here's the start of Farthest Frontier. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put down your town centre. Don't worry too much about this. Again, I think if you were playing on complex mode, you'd worry too much, or you'd worry more about it, thinking, yeah, you've got to be careful on what you're going to defend. For me, when I'm playing this in like nice chilled mode, what I'm looking for is there a food source somewhere? So I can see a food source down here, and are there any mines close? Just because I don't want to have to rebuild too much later on. And to be fair, I think this is a relatively good spot, so I'm just going to pop the village down here and just get started. Yeah, that's fine. But by asking like yes, no, confirm or whatever, it makes it sound like it's a really big deal. It doesn't matter that much. You can always move it later if you want to. So here we go. Your villagers are just going to get on with doing what they're doing. So I'm going to talk you through some of the stuff that we, for people who've never played this game before, exactly what happens. So nice thing, in Age of Empires, you've got to select people and tell them to go and do things. In this one, all you need to do is just tell it what needs to be done, and the guys will go and do it. If you do need to change it around and say, well, actually, I want more guys doing this, or women, or whatever, let's get political correctness right. My little Sims, if you want to tell them to do something different, you can go into here and set them their own tasks, and then they'll try and do it. But in all reality, a lot of the time you can just let them get on with it. And you'll see on here what they're actually doing in the first instance. I've told them I want the town centre here, and in order to put the town centre here, you'll see they're going to have to just get rid of some of the wood the trees that are blocking the way. These guys are going to stand around and wait until the area is clear. once the area is clear, they'll start building. The other thing that I'm going to do, because I don't like having people idly standing around, is we're going to go along and just tell it to harvest. So the harvest option is here, and what you can do is you can tell it to harvest what you're looking for, and actually right now I'm quite happy to harvest for anything at all. So I'm just going to use it to clear the way, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to clear the way this way, because even if you decide to build something here, they'll just harvest whatever it is in the way to move it out of the way for you. So nice easy game. The other thing as well it's going to do is it's going to tell you on here, so let me just pause for a second so I can just explain this. It's going to tell you in here what you need, it's going to tell you up here what you need, and it's also going to tell you here. So these are great guides. Basically, no one's having any fun. I mean, how can they? They're chopping down trees. It's not the most fun thing unless you're a lumberjack. There's nowhere for them to live, so we've got 12 guys, and I keep saying guys, please don't put in the comment or the chat or whatever about, you know, stop being so misogynist or whatever. Look, guys is men and women, whatever. So anyway, 12 people. And no houses for them. It's not such a big deal early on, but once you get to the colder months, they certainly need somewhere to be. And there's no one sick at the moment, so that's great. Here we'll show you where all your resources are, so you can see what you've got in terms of logs, firewood, which is what's needed to keep them warm, wood planks, stone, brick, cement, whatever, and gold. Anyway, I'll talk about these more as we need them. At the moment, all we need is a little bit of space to pop down our town centre, which they're now about to do. So they've cleared enough space. What it's now telling you is they need 16 logs to do it. So what they're now going to do is go and harvest logs, go and grab logs from wherever they can, and you'll quickly see the 16 is now coming down. So 16, 13. Don't ever worry about lightning, by the way. I don't think I've ever seen a villager get hit with a lightning strike. I don't think it's a thing. But nice graphic and nice animation anyway. And amazingly, right now we have no viewers, and no chat, which is really fun because it's, well, I say it's fun. It's basically me talking to myself, but never mind. Maybe someone's going to watch this back, and you know, if you go along and say, actually, this guy's, you know, whether you want to laugh with me or laugh at me, I don't really care. But yeah, if you want to come and see some more chilled, relaxed, fun gaming videos, hit like and subscribe, and you never know, maybe I'll make another one. To kind of give you an idea of some of the stuff I'm going to be doing on this channel, you know, I'm just going to be playing some of the games that I find fun. So, you know, I really like sim builders. So these colony sim builders like Anno, Farthest Frontier, you know, all good fun. I've gone off Age of Empires a little bit in Empire Earth, so I might not, you know, go back to those. RimWorld I've recently got into. You'll see from my avatar in my Steam account. Big fan of Kenshi, so I'll definitely do some Kenshi roleplays later on and have some fun with that. But today, I just fancied, Mrs. has gone out to go and have her hair done, so I've got a couple of hours, and so I thought, yeah, why not go along and create our first video. So here you'll see the town centre's down, or the city centre, whichever one it is. There we go, I was right the first time. Town centre. So the town centre's down. Now the guys are going and harvesting anything that I've told them to harvest, but you can see here, big warning, build some houses, build some houses, build some houses. So if I go into the building menu here, you can go along and see housing. It's now open because we've got the town centre down, and so I'm going to put some houses down. Now, the thing that you're looking for is you're looking for desirability. So right now there's no massive desirability anywhere, but you want to try and build your houses in a certain area and keep them, you know, to almost one place. And the reason being because when you put down things that make them more desirable, so markets, or, you know, I think there's a flagpole or theatre and bits and pieces later on, they're all going to get the benefit from it. And the other thing that you also want to do is to put a little bit of space around it, which I'll explain later. So for the time being, what I'm going to do is just pop down some houses, so you can see that would be right next to it, and you can see I'm one off the road as well. And I'm going to do this, and again there. And this one I'm not going to worry about space between those two sections, but you'll understand why in a bit. Okay, but for the time being, I'll put down 6 houses. That will get us started. And the other thing you can do in this game, I don't necessarily need to do it, but I'll just show you. If you click on something like this, it will tell you how many of the colonists are going to work on it. So you can see there's 3 people working on it. You can increase or decrease if you really want to micromanage. But most of the time, the only thing you ever need to do is sometimes you just want to prioritize something. And if you're one of these people that wants it to be, a real work of art and the prettiest town, colony, city, whatever, you can go along and actually pause it and start mapping everything out. You don't need the resources to do it, and then you can just tell it don't allow construction yet, and then you can just let the guys. God, I'm gonna have to get out of the habit. Get the colonists to build stuff as and when you want to. So there we go. You can see that one is now up. That one's about to go up as well, and then they'll focus on the other ones as well. And so we've at least got 6 houses. Each one of the houses will hold 4 colonists. So you can see here, at the moment I've got 12 colonists, space for 4 because I've got 1 house down, but these 6 houses will at least give me space for 24. The other thing you're looking at is how many months worth of food we've got. So we've got 21 months worth of food. It's on nice easy mode, so it's not too much of a stress to race to quickly start getting food, but I am going to do it anyway because otherwise I'm going to have to worry about it shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a road here, and just to start expanding out a little bit. And the other thing that I also need to think about is to quickly pop down a well. Otherwise what ends up is the guys end up dehydrated or dysentery or I don't know, some other random illness they'll end up getting. So let's just go into here. We don't want a hunter cabin, we want, here we go, a basic well. So you can go along and really stress about where you put the well. You can see here you get different water bonuses wherever it is, but unless you're playing something where you're really going to get no water at all, let's just pop it here. That will do okay for the time being. I just want to connect up my roads. I don't know why I'm quite OCD about these, that I like straight roads. So for those of you, if you're the same, if you use the shift key, it'll become your friend. It'll just make sure you get straight roads when you're dragging them out. So let's also just go and drag this out and go the other way as well. So there we go, we've got a little bit of a start going. You can see here there's deer. As you hover them, you can see them all here. You don't have to worry about necessarily putting it quite on top of there, but just close will do. So I'm going to just run another road, maybe about this. And let's put a little hunter cabin here so they can start to get the food. By the way, if we're going down the road of massive political correctness, what I can tell you is you don't necessarily have to be a carnivore and start slaughtering deer. You can harvest berries or whatever you want, but remember everyone, this is a game. So don't get overly worried about what you do. Play the game, have some fun, and whatever's fun for you, go right ahead. That sounds really sadistic, like, if you fancy slaughtering animals for fun, but you know what I mean. Okay, so that's the hunter cabin that's going to go down. They'll naturally put an area around it anyway, but you can also move it slightly if you want to later on. You can see here, when you're seeing the reds, it's normally something that you need to pay attention to. And what you can see is they don't have access to a clean water source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mark that, prioritize it, and that should get that resolved. The other thing I'm going to start doing is to start working out where I'm going to collect my resources from, and over here doesn't seem like a bad area to go and do it. So what you're also going to need at some point is you're going to need a storage area. So you want a stockyard for, I think this holds wood and stone. So I'm going to put a stockyard area somewhere near the town because it's great for them and it's a nice central position at the time being. And the other thing that I want to do as we go along is I'm going to put down some of the other buildings. But what you need to do is you need to watch out for which buildings are the residents are happy to have them around them. So you can see the stockyard had no issue at all, and I'll show you in a minute when we put one of the other units down, the ones they don't like. And I think the firewood splitter's one, so when I build that in a second, I'll show you what we're looking at. So hopefully, I don't quite know what they're all doing. I think once they've started something, they don't really like to stop. But we have prioritised this well. So hopefully, we'll have this done very shortly. Let's just put another couple of guys on it. Colonists. Sorry. I mean, if nothing else, it'll give you something to comment on. Wonder how many times I say guys in a video. Okay, so to kind of just go through a few bits and pieces, I could build some more, but what I want them to do is to focus on what I need them to focus on, because in a minute they're going to start complaining about dehydration. So let's just let them focus on getting the well together. And you'll see the nice part about Farthest Frontier is you don't have to micromanage, or you don't have to really micromanage unless you want to. So you'll see the wells there. Without me doing anything, the colonists, see, not guys every time, the colonists will go and collect water and make sure each house has water. The other thing that you're looking to do before you get towards winter is to make sure you've got a way for them to keep warm, and the easiest way to do that is with firewood. So what I'm going to do is back into the building menu, and if we go into the resources, you'll see there's a firewood splitter. You can also see the requirements of it, and so you've got to have wood to be able to do it, and it will produce effectively little logs that they can burn in their houses. So let's create a firewood splitter. Now this is where you can see, so you see it's gone yellow instantly. Basically, as much as they want the firewood, they don't actually want the firewood splitter anywhere near them. And so what I try and do whenever I'm playing this game is I try and kind of almost have an area central here, which is going to be for residential, and then start to build like an industrial area a little bit out of the way. So let's go along and pop the firewood splitter over here. If I just extend the road a little bit. And even better in this game, you don't necessarily need a road. They will just walk wherever you tell them to go. However, it just makes it faster for them. So let's put that road down. That's great. And on we go. So I think basically as it stands, we've got loads of stuff they're trying to do simultaneously. They've probably got more than enough jobs to do. You can see that the houses are up. We don't have any reds up here now because we've got the 6 houses constructed, and I've only got 12 colonists at the moment, so no stress with that. Magically they're having fun. I don't know what's fun for them, maybe splitting wood or the fact that they now know they've got a roof over their head. Small pleasures, you see, for these these starting colonists. Later on they'll start wanting lots and lots and lots of things, but for the time being, a roof over their head and some running water, they're good. So you'll see that naturally they'll take care of things. So whilst this road isn't yet completed, you can see the stones that are in the way. They'll automatically, go along and deal with that for you. So there isn't, much of a reason unless, you really want to, or you're desperately in need of more resource, to tell them ever to harvest something, because they'll naturally clear it out of the way anyway. So you definitely don't need harvest for clearing things. And you've just seen, he'll go along and find the fastest route. And if the fastest route is going through the forest right now, what I might want to do is just to put another road down. I don't know why, but just because I like everything neat and in patterns and stuff, I'm always reluctant to put these things in until we get all the houses together, but never mind. I also hate the inefficiency of them walking through a forest, so that will have to do. Anyway, so you can see at the beginning, the game looks pretty enough. It's nicely put together. Animation's pretty smooth. It may not look it on the stream just because, this is stream number 1. So I don't know whether I need game capture cards and what I do and don't need. But hopefully it's coming across okay. Not looking for world-class streaming because honestly I'm not a world-class player, so it'd be a bit of a waste, but just something where people can come and switch off and just enjoy games for the purpose of just having some fun. Okay, so here we can see 7 people have come to join my village, which is fantastic. Our food is okay for the time being, so I don't have to worry about them eating us out of house and home, and we've got space for them, so let's accept them. because whilst you think, well, hang on a second, you've just got more people eating our food, I look at it and go, I've now got more people that can carry out my bidding. So you'll see on here, they'll automatically start assigning themselves things to do, but you can micromanage it if you need to. So if, for example, you end up with a lot of brick later on, you can take away some bricklayers and add more miners or add more whatever else you want. And you can also start to see, even if you only watch 10 minutes of this video, you can start to see the enormity of the game, because once you start seeing all the different jobs they can do, and you see they're all grayed out because we're in early stage. There we go. Okay, and the other thing as well, the game is pretty good in telling you what it's looking for or what it's after. So they're telling you, look, ultimately, if you ever want to make gold, you need a market. Yes, I know we need a market, but I'm probably spending too much time gas bagging. So let's get on and get some bits and pieces down. So here you can see this is what they're after. You can see it's locked because as it stands at the moment, we don't have a store pit, and we also don't have a storehouse. Storehouse is where they keep food, and what else did it want? Store pit. Okay, so here we can see the nice thing is what I was looking at as I was going to build here, but this is a great area for foraging, just because if you get willow bush at the early stage, all of these things are really useful later on. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly set the forager station so it can start to collect these goods for no reason other than I'll thank myself later on in the game. So it's in food production, and if you go to a forager shack, and I'm going to pop a forager shack just down here. It doesn't matter if it's facing the road or not, but you might just want to be pedantic and put it down to face the road. So they'll build the forager shack for me, and they'll go along and collect those items. And then later on, if we get stuck or we want more berries or bits and pieces, or if I decide to start playing as a non-carnivore, I can go and forage greens and berries. See, look, fully inclusive, this channel. Okay, you can see they're still stressing about not having any firewood, but it will happen. Again, as soon as you've built something, you don't have to assign anyone to go and do it. They'll naturally go and do it. So you can see Ferret here. He's 23 years old, and he is now my firewood splitter. But it's really important to note here, so as and when the game goes on, you're going to find as resources balance or go out of balance, you're going to need more of something. So you could, it's a really good idea to just understand when your buildings first go down, how many people you can get working in it. So what you don't want to do is panic and think, well, hang on, they're all desperately in need of firewood, let's add a second person to go and do it. There's no need to do that. They'll naturally do it anyway and just start filling it. But if later on you find that you don't have enough firewood because you've now got, you know, hundreds of houses, what you can always do is before you build another firewood splitter, just make sure that you've maxed out your employees you can have there, because there's no point, you know, just keep taking up more space for single employees. You may as well go, you know, stick as many guys, colonists in there as you can. Okay, so what we also want, they were after a store pit, so let's put a saw pit. So let's pop that down as well. You can see because it goes yellow, it's all about the desirability, and they just don't want it anywhere near them. So what I'm going to do is again just pop it over with my like little industrial area I've got here right now. And if you want to rotate buildings, by the way, it's tab key on the keyboard. Okay, so the saw pit's going to go down. They'll naturally start stocking that up. The firewood splitter's working, which is brilliant. And the other thing that they wanted is the place to store food. And hopefully you'll find now this is working. You know, there you go. I don't know who I'm going to trigger here, but Wolfrid is now butchering meat. So again, naturally, as soon as you build something, you'll find an employee will go in there, or a colonist will go in there and start doing exactly as you've asked them to do. So that's naturally working. We probably need some more houses shortly, but I still want to focus on getting our market. So in the meantime, let's put the other bit down that they need, which was the storehouse. This, you'll see there's no yellow. They don't care if that's near them, and generally you want that somewhere near the centre because this is where all your food's stored. So to have it, hang on a second, this isn't even the food store, it's the general store, but again, to have it around the centre of your village is great. And we'll also put a food store as well down in a second. There we go, there's the root cellar, and the root cellar is where all the food is stored. And it also helps prolong the life of your food. So we've got that going, we've got this going, so we've got loads of stuff going on at the moment. And again, nice part, which is why I really like this game, is you don't have to, you know, keep going along and, oh, hang on, I've got to go and pick these colonists up and get them to do this, or I've got to pick these colonists up and get them to do this. And as time goes on, you'll make them far and far more efficient, because as it stands, they're taking everything back to the wagon, because it's the only place they can store things at the moment. But once they've got the storehouse, which is a bit more central, it will save them doing that journey all the way back there. So we've got this thing magically telling me to harvest resources, which I've got no interest in doing. What I want to do is I want to get my market down, but I can't get my market down until these things all happen. Just if you find yourself getting bored when you're waiting for these things to do, you can use the plus and minus keys on your keyboard, which will just speed it up. So it can go all the way up to 3 times and down to half speed. So I'm going to just put it up to 3 speed, just to give them a chance to get this ridiculous pile of stone out of the way. I think it's also telling me that we don't have any wood, so yeah, when I said, yeah, don't worry too much about it, you don't have to worry too much about it, but if you do find yourself running out of resources, just go along and pick up a few sections. And if you want to go along and you're worried that they're going to go and forage for berries and things when you're not actually interested in them doing it, you can go along and just untick these, highlight a huge area, and they'll only take the ones that you want. But now at least we're going to go along and get some trees to build everything, which is fantastic. The other thing, again, if ever you see a red, it's always worth just having a little look to see what it was. And what they're telling you is in the firewood splitter they don't have any logs, but we're fixing that problem now. And you can also see there's an exclamation mark here to tell you to do it. The other thing as well, and just as I go through and tell you about the game and what's there and what's not, you'll see here, so this is the food, the white number here that's telling you how many months of food you've got, and this one will tell you how long or what food you're going to lose in spoilage. And I'll come to that in a second because I can show you how to minimize that. But I don't want to. The problem is it's really tempting in this game to just go and keep trying to build more things, just because you think, oh, hang on, I can put this down, I can put this down. But what you'll end up doing is you'll end up spreading your colonists too thin, so they don't actually focus on what you want them to focus on. You can prioritize, but sometimes it's just best to slow down, give them a chance to catch up. And you can also see whether or not there are any problems as you move forward as well. So I think the next thing I want once these are done is a smokehouse, and I also want some more houses, because the last thing you want is if you've got more colonists coming to join your ever expanding town, the last thing you want is that you can't actually house them. I mean, maybe the last thing you want is you can't actually feed them. That would probably be worse, but you know what I mean. I'll tell you what, for all these streamers who go ahead to, do this stuff, it must be so much easier when you've actually got subscribers and people who can comment, because you've got like some kind of interaction. This is just like one guy sitting in his home office talking to himself like a madman, but there we go. Right, look, we made it into year 2, so that can't be a bad thing. Whether I make it to video 2 or not, I have no idea, but we've got video 1, or we're compiling video 1. So let's go along and just build this out as well, just to give us a little bit more space, and I can use it as a guideline for where I want to put my houses. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think a market will be available now. There we go. So I'm going to pop the market down here, and now again you see it goes yellow, but it's actually the other way around. So now it's desirable to have this near houses, so you can see the desirability goes up. So I'm going to pop this market just on this intersection here, which will at least, when they've built it, so you know the reason. And again, the nice part about Farthest Frontier is it's going to tell you, yeah, you need to make this before you can do this, you need to make this before you can make this, which sometimes you kind of find a bit frustrating, going, let me just do what I want to do. However, the reason they're telling you that you want the saw pit before this is because you're going to need wood planks anyway. So instead of letting you do this and then finding that there's a problem, they've already got you producing wood planks from here. And you can see here again, 2 employees or 2 colonists have gone to actually work in it, but you can put up to 6. So I'm just going to, you know, let it play out a little bit for the time being. This will naturally start to build up, but I'll start to get an idea. And again, the game is very much about feel. Where you can see, yeah, I think that we're starting to lose food, or I think we're not really getting enough wood, or I think there's going to be a problem with houses. And so just to kind of take a step back for a second, see what's going on, is never a bad thing to do. So we can see here the required wood planks of 44 is coming down. Yes, it's flagging up to say we need wood planks, but I think that's probably, but we're right for logs. We're alright for firewood, so yeah, I'm not going to stress too much about it. What I am going to do is to put down another couple of houses, just in case we get new colonists come to join us. And then I'm going to put down the smokehouse, which I can explain why we have a smokehouse. Now you'll also note, and I don't know whether or not you can see it on here, but you'll see there's a gap down here, and there's a gap I've left here, and there's another gap here, but not gaps in here. Crazy as it sounds, there's a reason for this. It's not just that I'm really bad at laying things out, and I'm not trying to trigger people with OCD to think, well, hang on, this isn't quite lined up. The reason being because in games like Age of Empires and other, you know, SimCity and things, a lot of the time you go and have decorations. Which, yes, it's great to make things look pretty, but most of the time don't really have any bearing in the game, other than, yeah, okay, you just want to make it look pretty. Farthest Frontier, really different. And it's really different because they'll naturally, you know, the colonists you've got will upgrade their houses, which will allow for more people in each one. It will allow for, like, your village or whatever to go through the different tiers. But in order to do that, one of the easiest ways to actually go along and do it is they won't upgrade unless it's desirable enough, and to be able to put plants and gardens and things around them is a really good way to get that desirability up. And it means that you don't have to plonk markets right in the middle and build everything around a market. So there are certainly a lot of pluses to it. And even if you decide, no, it's desirable enough, I don't need it, it gives you space that if you decide you want to put a road out here or whatever, you've got a little bit of space that you've bought yourself. So there is logic behind it. But we'll see later on as we go through the stream and we, you know, progress further into the game, exactly why I've done this and the big changes it will make. If you last with me that long, that is. Okay, and the other thing that I mentioned that I wanted is a smokehouse. And the reason that you want a smokehouse is because this will produce raw meat, and raw meat spoils faster. Same as if you decide, I haven't seen the lake yet, or a lake, but when you find a lake in the game, you can go in there and fish, and then you want to be able to smoke the fish as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a smokehouse down, which is this one here. And again, you'll find that your villagers will hate a smokehouse, but I'm not too fussed about the villagers right now. What I'm fussed about is building something so the food doesn't spoil. You can see here, if this number starts to get too high, your food's going to spoil, and the food that's spoiling, as you'll see, it's the 102 protein that's showing on there. So let's get a smokehouse built. We can see here everything's working quite nicely. Firewood splitter's doing what he needs to do. The forager shack is foraging, so you can see it's starting to store willow, smoked meat, which it will have taken from the starting stack that we got, and preserves again from the starting stack. But you can also see what it's producing as we go along. So it's great because it's producing medicinal roots, which will make no sense early game, but later on you'll understand what you need them for. Same with herbs, same with willow, and berries is great for their food supply. So I think at the moment we've got a nice village started. Rather than sitting there thinking, well, I don't know what to do next, sometimes it's just nice to go and have a look and see what you've got. A graveyard is a little bit morbid, but as long as you're, you don't disregard the warnings that come up on the screen, you theoretically won't have any people die for a little while. And hopefully you'll only ever lose people to old age. And the shrine, again, you can also see on here where at the top right is showing you what the desirability is. So you can see whether or not they actually like having it around. So you can see the shrine is great, but it's got a monthly cost of 4 gold. And as it stands right now, until I've got my market, I'm not going to have any gold. So all is good, all is working well, and our village is progressing. So when we're talking about going up through the tiers, and where I was talking about, upgrading houses and bits and pieces, again, nice and easy in this game. It'll tell you what it's needing, it'll tell you what it's looking for. So everything gets upgraded at the town centre. You can only have one of these at any given time, and so that's that. You can see that tier 2 is locked, but it'll tell you what you need. So it's telling you need 8 shelters, or houses or whatever, which we've got. It needs a market, and it needs 30 people. So at the moment you can see we've got 22 people, so we're on the way, but not quite there. The market is being built, and we've got 8 shelters. So to be fair, we're not far off being able to go up to the next tier. So let's hurry this along a little bit. Again, if I really wanted to, we could go along and push it to get wood planks a little bit faster. But for the time being, I'm okay. My colonists are doing what I need them to do. Let's just go along and get a few more resources. And don't worry, Eco Warriors, I will show you how we're going to put all of this back later on when we start planting trees. But at this tier, they don't have the ability to do it yet. And the other thing that I want to start looking at and to start planning, so this is like the toggle key F, which is the fertility. And the fertility will tell you where's the best place for growing crops, and crops is, in this game vital, as it's the the sustainable source of food, where we're not having to go out and find where the deer are or find where the berries are over here. We can actually control where we want to have everything. So now I've just hit this, and by probably nothing more than total fluke, I think this is probably the area I'm going to use for my farms later on. So step 1, let's get this market built, let's get up to 30 people, and let's get upgraded through the next to tier 2. And by the way, if anyone, if this YouTube video ever goes to that doesn't say in obscurity forever, and anyone actually watches this, can you just comment on how you would ever go and start a YouTube channel? Because for me, I'm like, well, yeah, if you're any good, one person tells someone else, but where do you get the first person from? Either that, or I have to sit there and be Billy No Mates and see if I can beg my friends to subscribe or something. But honestly, that would be so weird. Anyway, I will come back and have a look at this video later on, whether it's 2027 and, or either that, or I'm going to end up appearing on Mr. Beast's collection of, oh, hang on a second, we've just found the latest round of losers that have no viewers, no subscribers, and no nothing. And he's free to just drop on here and give me $10,000 or something. I don't even know how I'd give him $10,000. I don't even know how to monetize this stuff. I mean, I guess it's not something I have to stress too much about while I'm sitting on no viewers, no subscribers. And nothing going on. I suppose this is like the first step to insanity, isn't it? You're sitting in a room talking to yourself, playing random games but telling people what you're doing when you're not telling anyone. Whatever. Okay, so you'll see your villagers will naturally go up as well. You make sure they're fed, you make sure they're happy, you make sure they're looked after, and you'll get new villagers born. So you don't have to rely on new colonists coming in. But what you'll find is this will be the slow way that you'll gain new colonists, but you will see groups of colonists, you know, or groups of travellers or explorers or whatever you call them, will pop in and ask if they can come and live in your colony. The other thing to note is, you know, there's times where you should micromanage a little bit. So you can see in here what. Let's have a look. We've got Chiro. Anyway, what Zero is set to do. Smoker, it's got nothing to do with cigarettes, by the way. He's there to smoke fish and meat. But as we've got no fish, what you don't want to do is them to store resources ready to smoke fish. So what I'm going to do is to just let it know, don't worry about smoking any fish, just focus on the meat. And you can see already they're producing 200 smoked meat, which is going to be really good to minimise the spoilage. And again, there's other smart things you can do here. So for example, I can go along and tell it, right, I don't ever want any raw meat in here. And the same thing you can do in the storehouse. So yeah, don't ever store food in here. And it's a kind of a little bit of a horses for courses. If it's stored in the storehouse, it will in the root cellar, it will last longer. But sometimes you have to just tell them, yeah, don't just dump stuff or dump anything in there. And obviously, any questions you've got about this game, do feel free to drop it in the comments. Okay, so let's slow it down a little bit again. We're nearly at the market. Look, now at least all the resources are in for our market, so it just needs some hardened workers to put their coats on and go out and finish this. I just don't know whether or not there's any hardened workers ready to put the coats on and go and do it. Yeah, you're quite willing to use up all our firewood, but not willing to go out and actually go and graft. So whenever you see these red icons coming up, it's always worth just having a look to see what it's telling you, because sometimes they're quite important. And what it's telling me here is we can't work because there's no meat, and there's no meat because the hunter hasn't produced any for a little while. But once he does, you'll see the storage will go up, and then they'll naturally go along and start collecting it again. So if there was another area around for deer, there you go. I may well extend out to here. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's do that as well. And then if nothing else, it will keep the smokehouse a bit busier rather than letting it go quiet. So again, using shift, I can put a little road out here, and let's food production, another hunter cabin. We'll put the hunter cabin there, and then I can forget about it, because hunter cabin's there, the deer are there. The only thing you do sometimes have to worry a little bit about is the distance that they're travelling. So even though you're going to have a hunter that's working here, I think the hunter cabin might be different because I think they live there as well. But in a lot of the places they won't actually live there, so they're always going to be, you know, effectively commuting back to the town. So it may be an idea to start thinking about that, because I might put some houses around here as well later on. But it's not in the game plan right now. Okay, so you can see here's the market, and you'll naturally start to produce gold. So you can see everything's coming in. We're now getting 7 gold from the market, which is good. Also now you can see what a novice streamer I am of never having done this before, because I'm guessing everyone else will say, yeah, let's make sure we've got a drink with us before we get started. I haven't done that, so if I do end up having to break because it's just a little bit too much, then que sera, I'll go and get a drink. But at least I've got an excuse, so if it does sound that I'm, you know, you go, oh my god, you know, you're voice is so monotonous and no tonality. I'm going to blame it on needing a drink. Okay, so all's good. Winter's looking good. I don't. Oh, here we go. Here's all the guys, colonists, that are off to build this, and we can also see we've got 7 more coming. This is going to get us up to 30, so this is fantastic. Okay, we're going to accept them. Obviously, there's a slight stress now that the 3 months worth of food is now 1 month's worth of food because we've gone from 23 colonists to 30. But we're in the process of fixing this, so it should be okay. But you will see now they're not quite so happy as they were before, and the reason being, and you can always understand why, and it's because they're worried about food. So let's hopefully fix their concerns. Let's get this other hunter cabin built. And hopefully before you know it, we will be overflowing with food. You can hear them working away down here. I also don't know how much, where I should have volume on microphone or whatever, so, please go ahead and, comment back and just say, yeah, my God, turn yourself down. I'll experiment a little bit as we go along, but hopefully I can make this channel a little bit as a bit of a community, and we can do this together. So yes, I'll happily take on a few challenges and take some requests of playing some games that you think I'm going to like. But no, if you decide that you want me to go on to this game and play the hardest level and constant wolf attacks and bandit attacks and bits and pieces like that, honestly, I'm sure there are many channels that will do that. It's not me. It's just not me, because I don't find it that fun. There's not a huge sense of achievement of going along and spending 6 hours and having a village that's the same size. But don't worry about it, because you haven't lost all of your villagers, or all your villagers haven't died yet. I think that'll be like my idea of a nightmare. It's just I just like to play these games and have some fun. And you can see there's plenty of fun to be had, even when you're just building bits and pieces up, to go through the challenge of going, can you get through the tiers, and how many people are you going to potentially kill in the meantime. So again, it's starting to warn me, it's all a little bit stressing about food, and you can see that we're consuming more food than we're producing, but we will get to this. Don't you worry, gang. Especially now we should have our second hunter cabin. So here we go. Look, we've got Amelina. You can see as she's highlighted in yellow on your screen. Here we go. Let's go and have a little look at Amelina. Is she good? Look. Oh, why she looks a little bit like the Wicked Witch of something from the Wizard of Oz. I'm wandering around with a sword. I don't quite know what she's going to do with the sword, but she can use her bows and arrows and start to find the deer. But you kind of want to tell her that you do know, Amelina, you're going in the wrong direction. But what I think she will be doing is she'll be stocking this up. So what she's going to do is make sure there's plenty of water, plenty of firewood, and then hopefully she can stay here and just get down to slaughtering everything. Either that, or she's just going to be a pacifist and decide that she doesn't agree with the slaughtering of animals. That's what she's decided. She's going to be the worst hunter ever. But no, before you worry about it, no, the game doesn't make pacifists. Other than obviously the pacifist mode that I'm playing, but even in pacifist mode, I still won't have a problem slaughtering deer to make sure my colonists can eat. Okay, so let's start the next phase, and where are we at in terms of the upgrade? What we're missing at the moment is we're missing wood planks. But we don't need to be missing wood planks because we've got plenty of logs. So what I'm going to do is just to show you in here, I can go onto this menu and say, look, I want more people soaring. The problem is at the moment is that we haven't enabled them to be able to do it. So if I go onto here and just open it up, you can now see that I can have up to 4 people soaring. And you'll also see on a lot of buildings you can upgrade them as well. But the first thing that I'm going to need for the upgrade is I need a tier 3 town. At the moment we're tier 1, so it's nowhere even remotely close to that. And also remember, this game has an awful lot of playability in it, so it's not like, you know, you'll note that obviously we've gone from tier 1 to tier 2 in, I don't know, not so long. Easily, comfortably under an hour, and I'm sure if you speed ran it you could probably do it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something. So yeah, there's plenty of playability in this game. So yeah, don't stress about if it looks like anything's happening quickly, because or either that or you're all sitting there swearing at the screen going, can you just hurry up and get on with it and stop gassing about it. So here you can see again there's an issue. It's to do with the well. So what I'll do is pop another well over here somewhere, I think. Yeah. And the other thing to note is when you put wells too close together, you'll see that they'll impact each other. And you can see that by the fact it will be blue. So you can see this well has an issue because it's going to be too close to that one. And you can see if you get too close to that one as well, it will go blue. So try and make sure you spread them a little bit apart, but just keep an eye, and that's what I'm saying. If you keep an eye on the red icons as you go along, it's going to give you the tip-offs to effectively what you need to focus on. So we're hoping that Amalia, or whatever her name is. There we go, look. Well done, Amalia. Well, hang on a second. I say well done. She hasn't actually done anything good yet. All she's done is taken some smoked meat and stored it. But I'm hoping she's going to produce something shortly. And you'll see from here 288. So I imagine that's probably the default that they're going to produce each year. So let's say about 300 meat each. So hopefully we've doubled the production, but Amalia at the moment, I don't know where on earth she even is. Normally they'll highlight yellow to show you where the colonist is, but I don't know, maybe she's at home. Who knows? But let's just hope that very shortly we will start to see Amalia actually producing some goods, because otherwise this is going to be one of the most dull live streams in history, on the basis that we played this in the easiest mode at the simplest setting and failed before year 3. But yes, you can see the stress. They're still worried about food, they're still worried about probably not making it through. But generally what you'll find is everything slows down a bit during winter time, and then it picks up again. So look, here's the thing. If there's a part where you go, yeah, I'm constantly fighting fires and trying to deal with one particular thing, go ahead and just, you know, if you give it a little bit of overkill, it'll let you focus on other areas of the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some fields down, because by putting some fields and farms down, that's where you'll end up with a never-ending supply of food, and probably more food than you're going to know what to do with. So let's at least put down 1 or 2 farms, and I can also then show you the farming menu. So here we are in food production. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop down a farm. Now again, you can go along and decide which size you want to have. You can have fields that are massive, you can have, you know, fields that are relatively small. I think it's a 5 by 10 as the minimum. I think, oh, you go 5, maybe a 5 by 5 is a minimum. Yeah, 5 by 5 is the minimum, but I'm going to go with a 5 by 10 and just get that started. Now what you'll find is that farms are really good for producing food, but they are quite resource heavy when it comes to colonists, because they do spend a lot of time making sure everything's right. Hopefully that well there, it's going to, yeah, there we go. Now we don't have the red warning there, and you'll find a lot of colonists are going to come down here and start to clear the field. And you can see now, there you go, they need 2,352 man hours to get the field ready. But with any luck, it shouldn't take too long. This is definitely going to be the case of, you know, hopefully all the colonists don't have a lot to do, or at least the labourers and workers, so, or the builders. So what they're all going to come down and do a many hands make light work. And we will hopefully then have our first field. And then, and again, you know, everything is always linked. So if you've got unhappy villagers, I think it will impact their procreation, shall we say. And it will also stop other colonists coming. So what you want is you want happy people, plenty of food there, and then it will just allow everything to keep growing exponentially. And at least good old Amelina is now starting to produce, so that's good. And our smokehouse is still not being properly used. What I might do is I might just relocate my smokehouse and pop it here. Just because then hopefully it'll be easier for this hunter cabin and this hunter cabin rather than it being right over here. Probably should have thought about that, but there you go. This is the problem with doing something live. We're not editing, I'm not voice-overing. This is very much as it is. I'm sure you're all screaming at your screens going, yeah, we can tell because it's shit. But never mind. Everyone has to start somewhere, right? And I suppose the shitter you start, you know it can only get better. Nothing else. I've learnt one thing. Talking to yourself does make you feel a little bit insane. And before you start talking to yourself, especially if you're going to do it for any prolonged periods, bring a drink with you. Never mind. Either that, I'm going to go from fun gaming to, you know, unpopular streamer who bitches too much about not having a drink. Okay. So we're just hoping we resolve the issue with food. Let's also try another shortcut, or not a shortcut, but a, you know, a few other quick solutions. And go along and harvest some berries. Look, there's loads around there. Anything to deal with this problem. At the moment, no one's complaining that they don't have any food, and I think it's because there's just about enough to go around. But the fact that it went 3, 2 and 1, I would say that the food consumed versus produced is still not quite right. I mean, it will definitely fix once we've got our farm, but I didn't plan on putting a farm down quite yet. And you can see the arrow that just appeared here. So this is telling you that it's ready to upgrade. I guess we've just gone back below on the wood planks. I'm guessing they've used them to build something. But as soon as that goes back over, I'll go along and upgrade. There we go. And they can get started and work on that as well. But for the time being, oh, hang on, here we go. Look, I think now, see, this is the thing. A lot of the time, what you end up doing is you end up overcompensating for something. So when you know there's no food, you know, the first thing that we did is put down the other hunter cabin. But before that could really take effect with the food production, we've now gone off and built the farm as well. So I think what you're going to find is the food is naturally going to start going up. And then once the food's going to start going up, then this farm's going to appear, and then the food is going to be like way too extreme for the amount of colonists we have, but never mind. And meat smoking. Quite surprised I only did 60. Because I think it is a 1-for-1. So I'm trying to work out where the meat's going, unless they're going straight to the residents and they're taking it. Let's switch that off as well. So now I think they don't have anywhere to keep raw meat. So the only thing they can do with raw meat is to take it to the smokehouse. or keep it at the cabins, and then the people from the smokehouse will go and get it. However, they're still idling, and they're idling because they don't have any meat. Only 144 produced, and 144. It's like they've literally half the workload. That's not good. Go on, Amelina. Here we go, let's just chasing down the deer right now. Where the deer is. Oh look, but she's found water for me as well. What I've got to be careful of is to not get too carried away with the panic of food. We've got enough just about. He says with such total confidence as they go down to no food. Come on, villagers, you can do it. The scary part is we've now just gone into winter time again. And look, you can see here, deadly cold temperatures. This is not good. And now we've got the first warning of somebody's got no food. I did say that I'm hoping, or you know, theoretically you don't need a graveyard yet. I may have spoken too soon on that, but fingers crossed we will get ourselves out of this crisis. It's like semi-fun gaming. It's fun because it's nice to have a little bit of a challenge, but it's not going to be fun if all my villagers die off at year 2 or year 3 or whatever we're on. However, I think we've at least moved up. So let's just have a look and see some of the new buildings that we've got at our disposal now. So you'll see here that now we've unlocked the tier 2 buildings. So we have the healer's house. The problem is that that costs gold to keep going, and no one's really too ill at the moment, so no stress about that. Trading post is vital, so we'll definitely build that one in a second. We've got a school, which is great for desirability. We've got the festival pole, again great for desirability. Yeah, sorry if there's any innuendos about a festival pole. I did at least mark that this stream wasn't aimed at children, so I guess I should be alright. And the temple. And the temple, you see, very desirable, but also it's got a monthly cost associated to it. And I'm not too fussed about creating costs for myself. I'd rather go along and start building up some gold. And the trading post is a great way to do it as well. And you can put your trading post pretty much anywhere you like. However, because I've started to earmark things that I want, so I want this area around here for my farms. I don't quite know what I'm going to put in here yet, but you know, there'll be something that goes in here. Here is probably some more houses. So when I'm starting to think about my trading post, again, your trading post can be in the middle of your village, so maybe here might not be a bad place to pop it. But yeah, while it's really important to have a trading post, it's probably not as important as having food so all my villagers don't die. But here is the hoping. I think this is where part of the problem is, that we've only got one deer here, but we've got loads around here. But again, don't panic too much. As long as you know you're working towards the solution, sometimes you just have to be a little bit patient in this game. I mean, I say be a little bit patient, obviously not so patient that you don't hit fast forward to turn it to 3 times. So you can get your farm done. And I know full well it's absolutely going to be sod's law. The farm's going to be done. We're finally going to build it. And then the next thing that's going to happen is All the crops will die of some horrible disease, but here we go. Right, anyway, I've paused it only because we can now go into the crops menu, and the crops are really important in here, so it's well worth having a look. And what you have to do is, sorry, you might have to use your brain a little bit, but you're going to have to math this out a bit. So here's where you've got it. So this is basically how it rotates. So this will be year 1, year 2, year 3, and then obviously it rotates back to year 1. So what you can see is we've already lost a little bit of the first part of year 1. Because we're in the second month, and you'll see here this is dead time, and it's dead time because it's winter and frost and crops and stuff. So what you do is if you click on here, you can see all the different crops that you can now put into place, and each one of them has different bits and pieces. So you can have different frost tolerance, different heat tolerance, drought tolerance, how well they're resilient to rocks, and various odds and sods. But what you're looking at is, especially early on, is you want to get the weed level down and you want to get the rockiness gone. And it can also help you get the field being more fertile, because if you don't focus on the fertility, what will happen is your crops will eat all the goodness out of the ground and you won't be able to grow anything. So it's always nice, this is probably my eco message for sustainable forestry. So whoever thought I'd be playing a game and talking about sustainability? But here we go. So what I'm going to do in the first instance is I'm going to go along and get farmers in, because the farmers will go along and get rid of some of the rocks. So I'm going to click this, they'll go in, and they'll start to prepare the field. So even if I go along and decide, like early on, just get some crops, but the rest of the time just focus on getting the farm right, it's a good strategy, and it will help a lot. So here, clover, there's no use to it at all other than it will up fertility. So I kind of have it in my head where I look at the fertility and go, look, this will go along and be +3 in fertility. So I'm going to drop that in. So at the moment I'm on a +3. And the other one you want here is buckwheat. And the reason that you want buckwheat is because it will get rid of the weeds for you. So if you go along and decide that you want to put buckwheat in there as well, you can do that. So what I'm going to do in year 1, so you see when I click buckwheat and it goes, look, you can't do it. It's because there's not enough space in here to do it. So what I'll do is I'll click again, get more of the stones removed, which shouldn't take too long or shouldn't be too many rotations and cycles. Weeds are obviously a massive problem, so what I'm going to do is I'm then going to go to year 2, focus on removing weeds, and that's basically it. And then year 3, should we put some crops in maybe? So remember, we're still at +3 from these. These, each one is -1, so you've got 3, -1, -1, so you're still at a +1 at the moment. So the fertility of this field is going to keep going up. So let's find something that's going to be reasonable for fertility. So you've got to be careful here. So -6, that will mess up your field very quickly. There we go. So we've got a +1 fertility, so that won't be a bad thing to do. And what else have we got? And another +1. So why don't we put these in and these in? So what we've now got is we've got like a balanced, especially like an early on field. So these guys are going to get rid of the rocks. The clover is going to go along and keep the fertility up. So this you want to be as high as it possibly can be. You want the weeds to come down, which is the purpose of these guys. There you go. You see, now at least you know I don't refer to guys as men, guys as anything. So like guys as plants. But yeah, so these will get rid of the rocks. These are going to help with the fertility. These will get rid of the weeds. And these will actually give you some food. So even though you think, hang on a second, this is 3 years away and we're desperate for food, honestly, I think we're going to be okay. And so I'm not going to stress too much about trying to race food in before the fields are ready. What I might do, I mean, I say I'm not going to do it, maybe I will. So if I take that one out for the time being, will that one fit? If I take that out, can I put these? There you go, perfect. So that will get rid of some rocks. That's going to go along and help with the fertility. These also as well are pluses on the fertility. You can see the one up from the bottom. And then we'll focus on the weeds. So that will do. And then again here, let's get maybe another one to deal with weeds, because that's the big problem at the moment. And so there we go. So now as we carry on with the game, what will happen is a lot of farmers are going to head to the field because they all have to follow the instruction, whether or not that happens to be getting rid of the rocks, which is what they're doing at the moment here, and then they'll also plant the clover, which will help with the fertility. So that will work quite nicely. What you never want to do is you never want to keep repeating, the same thing year on year on year on year. Other than the fact of there's no variety, what it also can create is when you have diseases on your crops, it will spread far quicker. And especially if you're not monitoring every single field, which you definitely don't want to be doing, as you end up with 5, 6, 10, 15 farms. It's much easier to just let the game go along and almost think, well, yeah, if I get a diseased crop, it will only be one crop because I'm going to be planting something else afterwards or something the next season. So it's definitely worth, creating a nice cycle of different crops. And again, if you search around YouTube and, search around Reddit, there will be people who will have mapped it out to find the absolute optimum. For me, I just like to go, get rid of the weeds, get rid of the rocks, and make sure the fertility doesn't go off the chart. So that's fine. And again, we're not really limited by space. We've got a huge map, so we're all good. And hopefully, we will start to see the food issue stops being an issue. Right, here's a kind of great point as well. You can see that the deer that were here have moved. You don't have to worry about moving your hunter cabin. All you do is just retarget where you tell him to go and work. So if I retarget it and tell it go and look here, what you'll find is he'll now be able to hunt all of those deer, which has stopped us having a year where he only did 144 or whatever horribly known numbers it was last time, which has contributed to this issue that we're looking at right now. This one's all still good. Good old Amelina. Good haul of 240. And now obviously we've got an impending heat wave. And again, you can click on these and see what it's going to tell you, but ultimately it messes up crops. But we haven't got our urgent crops that are there yet. These will come in effectively the third set. Let's work out how susceptible are they to heat. Oh, brilliant. They have a heat tolerance of 0 out of 10, which means if the heat wave is still there, our crops won't be. See, who thought this game was going to be easy and there wasn't going to be any challenges in the way? Either that or I'm going to have people who actually are seriously good at this game screaming at this and going, oh my god, this guy's the worst player I've ever seen in this game. But guess what? I'm laughing, I'm smiling. This is our channel, Fun Gaming. By the way, if anyone's got watch time of 1 hour and 13 on this, that would be unbelievable. Never mind. I'm supposed to like every 5 minutes as well, like it's isn't this like Streamers Book 101? Tell everyone, yeah, hit subscribe and smash that like button. Am I supposed to say that every 5 minutes? You never know. When I actually do get a subscriber or 5 subscribers or 3 or 10 or whatever, I'm sure you guys can start commenting and reminding me to tell people to smash that like button as and when, but for the time being I will just have to laugh and mock it. But no doubt in years to come I'm going to be telling people to do it. Okay, so the good thing is that now we've got a cold temperature, which I think, and this is why sometimes you don't have to overly panic, so I could have easily changed this crop, but obviously I knew this was going to happen, and it's got a 10 out of 10 frost tolerance. So actually it's going to be perfectly fine that we've got cold temperatures. And now the food can be farmed, or it certainly will be farmed around here. It's either that or my smug mode is now going to turn into another heat wave and then all my crops are going to be ruined. But let's see, we've got 2 months worth of food, which is good. I don't know what food they're talking about, because it is also telling me that it's going to go bad. Here we go. That's because they've now gone and harvested all the fruit, which is helping. But look, before long we're going to end up with this, and now I think if I go and look at the map or the graph, now you can see we're producing more food than we're consuming. So food is now no longer a stress. So I'm not going to think about it anymore, and now because I've set my field up, it's going to automatically do its thing. So you can see the rockiness has come down. Obviously this was going to happen. And it's a great example again to show exactly what's going to happen. So if I had lots and lots of fields all next to each other and they were all producing beans or peas, it would now spread and we would lose a whole load of crops. But you can see we're going to lose 7% of our crops, which is kind of what I'd call acceptable loss. But instead of actually having to take any action and kill anything, you'll see that it only affects beans and peas. And the next crop that's going in after this is not beans or peas. Look, it's buckwheat. So by the time this one and this one goes, that disease will be gone, which means we're perfectly good for when the beans go in. So yeah, except we're going to lose a few peas, but it's okay. And it's a good job no one's watching Top Boy or whatever, because if I keep talking about losing some peas, it's a very different it's a very different thing I'm talking about than actually physically losing green peas. Okay, so let's go along and have a look and see what's what. So now at least they're getting a little bit happier. What they're getting hacked off about is they don't have any spirituality, which is obviously going to be an annoyance to them, and they are not very clean. So let's see what we can do to help them. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm not going to go for a temple yet, but I am going to go for a shrine. So again, you can have a look on here and you can see the shrine has a monthly cost of only 4 gold. You can see at the top right here, we're making 7 gold a month, so at least we're going to be in positive, which is good. You never want to be in negative because all that happens is people keep walking out of jobs. So let's put a shrine in here. You can see it helps them all as well, so let's pop it over here. It increases desirability, which is great, and you'll understand the purpose of it very shortly. So that's now going to go in. That will fix that. That will make them happier. And now we're also looking at how can I help them with their cleanliness. We can't just order them to take a shower, but what we can do, as you have a look here, you'll start to see more of the buildings have become available. So we've got a saw pit, and ultimately I think it's always good when you're playing this game to try and almost get one of everything, because there's not anything in this game that you probably won't need at some point. So go along and explore, but try and get one of everything down at some point, because even if you decide you don't need it or you don't want it later on, you can take the employees away from it, but there will be a point where you're going to need it. There's not many things that are not necessarily needed here, but again, just be careful where they are. So we've gone nice and simple with this game, and the simplicity is that, you know, we've got, this is all the nice things, all the things that the residents want to see. These are the things that they don't want anything to do with. So let's just have a look and see if we can pop this down somewhere. I'm trying to keep this free because I'll need this later on. So let's just pop this the other side of the road. So we've got the tannery down. What else have we got? We've got a cobbler shop, really important. They will need shoes, so we'll put a cobbler shop down. And also, what you can start to do is to decide. Let me just kill that for a moment. The reason I killed that is because I actually wanted to find out whether or not it's one that they want near them or not. So yeah, there's no yellow screen, so they're perfectly happy having that near them. So I might just pop this over the other side. Near the town. So the cobbler shop is fine. They're really happy having that around. And what I was talking about earlier in terms of what you produce, you can always go along and like trade with other people once we put the trading post down. So it's a good idea to sometimes have a look and decide what it is you want to kind of focus on. So you could focus on making a surplus of shoes, or making a surplus of coats, or a surplus of anything, because you can then go along and put a decent amount in the trading post, and when people come along, you'll find that if you're picking common resources or common items like shoes and coats and bits and pieces, you will find that at least 1 in 3 traders will go along and accept a trade with you for it. I can't promise I'll give you a great price, but they will trade. And because they're always going to trade with you, you can then turn that into the thing that you haven't quite got too much of. So have a look around your village and see what you're making plenty of, and see what you don't have any real issue with. And then if you focus on that, it's really good for the trading post. But again, we'll pick up that later. So this is now being built, so we've got a cobbler shop. What else have we got? Because we're still not addressing the issue where they've actually needed. The Fletcher building, again, I'll put it down later on, but I don't think we're going to need it right now, because if we were playing non-pacifist, so we were having towers and people fighting all over the place, you would definitely need the Fletcher building. But because effectively they're only using bows and arrows to go and hunt deer, it's not an urgency right now. So I'll pop that down later. And now you can start to see, so the basket shop is a great thing for the market, but also you can only do it if you have willow, which is what I went and got earlier on. And the compost yard, again, really important to have, and it will be useful for the farms as well, because it will be something that they do moan about. However, it's also something that they definitely don't want anywhere near their village, understandably so. So I think what I might do, let's just try and get it in a straight line. What about down here somewhere? And let's carry the road on. So now they'll have a compost yard as well. You'll see that each of the houses, they're storing waste, which after a while will annoy them. So to have a compost yard to be able to take it away, good idea. This is working nicely, and we've got an issue here with water at the tannery. So easily enough, let's go and pop another well, and because there's water around as well, it'll be a really good well. There you go, 70%. Let's pop it down there, and then at least it can serve all the industrial stuff that's around there. Hopefully the farm's still doing what it needs to do. So yeah, you can see now how infected is it. 12% infected, and a 7% crop loss, but that's okay. And you can now see I didn't have to go crazy and create loads and loads of farms. Food is now fixing itself, and you can see in here we're now producing considerably more than we need, which is great news. See, they haven't even started consuming vegetables yet either. But I bet if I put a Big Mac down there, they'd be all over it. Well, there we go. Let's see if we can get them having a balanced diet. And look, you can see here comes the red mark to say, yeah, careful, they're producing too much waste. They're over 50 now, so it's a good job we've got our composting yard going down over here. It's almost like I predicted that was going to happen. So, in all the melee, we still haven't dealt with the one we actually wanted to deal with, so I haven't put a basket shop down yet because we haven't got a trading post, and no trading post. I'm not overly fussed about having it yet. But what I did want to do is to deal with the one that they're upset about, and that's soap. And I think, yeah, I did think that was a desirability one, so let's go and pop the soap shop again down the other end somewhere. Let's pop it down there. There we go. Maybe what we'll do is we'll turn this into our whole industrial area. I just want to leave this bit alone because we've got the willow and the medicinal roots and more willow here as well. I mean, this kind of gives me the idea that maybe I'll go and create a couple of basket shops and use basket as the thing in the trading posts. But I don't want to ask them to do too much right now, simply because A, it's winter, and secondly, if I've got people complaining about needing a compost yard, I don't want to distract them from building a compost yard. So let's prioritise this. Put an extra couple of guys on it. And hopefully the desire for a compost yard will be met with a compost yard. See, this is the crazy part. I'm sitting here chatting away and thinking, you know, how's everyone's days going, and you know, what's everyone up to, and oh, thanks for the 5 stars, super chat. All this crap terminology that I've got no idea what I'm talking about. However, the nice part is I have no viewers. Well, I say the nice part, it's not a nice part, it's a horrible part, but no viewers, you can't really interact with anyone. Yeah, it's a really, you know, like the theory of saying, like, you know, if a tree falls in the wood, does anyone hear it, or does it even make a sound? You go along and you think, you're talking about all this stuff, but you never know, this video could go into YouTube, I don't know, YouTube netherness that no one ever will see it, which means all the stuff you're talking about, I could have the microphone on mute, it wouldn't make any difference. I'm saying all this stuff that effectively no one could ever hear. Crazy. Right, so at least we're now starting to build, and let's keep ourselves on the on track what we're looking to do. So let's spin back to where we were. Okay, so the compost yard is there. They'll start working on that, which is excellent. They will start to gather all the compost. The compost then will turn into fertilizer, and they will automatically start composting whichever field has the lowest fertility rate. Now, I don't rely on this because as much as you think, yeah, this is going to be great, you end up collecting so much waste and it's so rare that it actually creates fertilizer. Or not rare, like, you know, it never happens. It just takes so long to do it that don't rely on it to be the way to fertilise your fields. Definitely want to do that with good crop management. So yeah, there we go. Just a little tip for you. If ever you think, I don't know why he's doing that, just go and create a compost yard. It doesn't quite work. Okay, and you can see now that we were creating... that's just changed. We were having plus this. Oh, okay, so the compost yard is costing us money, which means we now need to up our game a little bit. And when I talk about upping our game, what we need to do is the market will make more money if it's servicing people that are better than just a shelter. Now, this is where you can start to get quite clever about it and start upgrading these. You can't force it to happen. It will happen naturally once you hit the numbers that you need to happen. So you can see at the moment the desirability bonus isn't quite right. So they've got a market, it's great, it's increasing it. They've got the shrine, which is increasing it. But now you'll understand why I put spaces around everything. So if I go into the build menu and go to decorations, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pick something up that has a decent desirability. So I think all of them at the moment, yeah, large park, but it's huge and I don't want to put a large park down. But what I can do, so let's put down a garden trail. So it's like a little garden that will sit at the front of their houses. So now you understand a bit more as to why I created the space at the front. So if I do this, and what I'm also going to do is just to put one at the side as well. Let's just try and line him up. Okay, there's one. And there's two. And I'll do the same thing here and here. So even though I'm about to probably lose all my gold by doing this, you'll see what will happen. So Now you're about to see the first garden go down, and look, isn't it great? And instantly, you see this is now going to upgrade. And so as it upgrades, as you'll see in a second, if I can hurry up and upgrade, that would be brilliant. It's going to build slightly prioritise it just so I can show you what it does. There we go. So now what's actually happened is we've got the homestead, so it's increased. We've now got the increase that we can hold 5 people in there instead of 4. And what it will also do is it will start to, and there you go, you see, perfect timing. You get additional taxes from a homestead than you do from, or you basically, they don't pay taxes in a shelter, but they do as you go along and move them up to a homestead. So effectively my minus numbers has now become 0, and as time goes on, what will happen is you will naturally start to see an upgrade. And these will upgrade and it will increase our money, which is all good. Now I've got to deal with a problem. So okay, so we've got someone with cholera. It's a good thing to do to understand A, who it is, and B, what the issue is. So it basically, there we go, it's by having contaminated water, and they need access to wells, which they've obviously got. Now here's the problem. What we're now going to do is we're going to, and I hate to say this, but we're going to gamble with this person's life. So the reason being, because in order to put a healer in, hang on a second, what's it whinging about? It's whinging about not having something. We haven't got any stone. So let's go along and get some stones quick. If I can find any, there you go. So you see, you can just set it to stones and just drag out huge areas. So it doesn't matter if they're hidden behind some trees. Your villagers will go and find them. There we go. So that will sort out our stones problem. However, so when we go back to gambling and you see that the gamble's paid off, there's no one sick anymore. But ultimately what you need to do at some point is we need to get the healer down, which then I think turns into a hospital later on. Now you can see the healer's house, which is fine. However, the healer's house also costs me 25 gold each month. And it's 25 gold, which I don't have. And so if I don't have 25 gold, it's pointless. You're going to put it down, lose 100 gold to build it, and then they'll stop operating it anyway. So what you need to do is you need to get yourself into a positive cash position. And so you can see by just going along and getting some more houses here, this is now increasing. And the next thing that we really need to do is increase our population. And the population will now start to increase anyway, because you're going to find colonists are going to come in and say, hang on a second, we really like this place. Now there's not an issue with the cleanliness that we had anymore. There's no issue with the spirituality anymore. Everything is good. They're all good. They're all happy. Yeah, I think there's going to be an issue with clothing soon enough, which I'll go along and start to preempt. But ultimately, it's becoming a nice little area. And we've got space. So because we've got space, you'll quickly see that before long, new colonists are going to come and want to come and settle. So let's also go and deal with the issue with clothes. So it's not candles. So nope, 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 nope. Have I missed it? Apiaries are good as well, and potteries are really good. Okay, there you go. So it's a weaver building. The reason I'm not in a rush to do this yet is because it needs whatever the resource is, and you can get that from a farm. But I'd really like to get some more residents. That would be good. But no rest for the wicked. Let's go along and at least get the next farm going. Because if nothing else, we can at least start to clean it up. ready for when you do really want it to mass produce. You see that this one, it's really a lot of the work that we're doing is about bringing down the weeds and bringing down the rockiness and increasing fertility. So it does take a little while, you know, in a few years until you've gone through these cycles a few times, and you'll have the weed level and the rocky level right down, and it increases then the production, what you're getting from it. So there we go. You've learned a new Farthest Frontier fact. And the other thing that you'll start to find out now is as you start to build up new areas. So you see you've got the soap people going, they need tallow. That's obviously produced by slaughtering the deer. So we won't have a problem for tallow, so that will be okay. Firewood obviously is fine, and herbs I think we're foraging from somewhere around here. There's certainly some in storage anyway, so if it comes up as a problem later on, we'll go and resolve it. And in our hides again, so this is all really to do with having the areas for deer. So as much as people might say, hang on, it's really brutal going along and killing all the deer to create food, yeah, but that's only one of the benefits. We also get the hides from it and we get the tallow from it. And having those two also then allows us to make the coats, which allows them to work at winter, and to have the soap, which will stop with cholera and dysentery and various dirt-based illnesses. And now hopefully, there we go, so the homesteads are increasing, which is fantastic, and it's all going to help us create more and more and more in terms of taxes. Plus obviously having not these places where they're only part filled. I mean, hell, I've got a house there, there's not even anyone in there. So loads of space for people. What I might do now, here we go, I think, are these new colonists? No, they're farmers. Surprised we haven't had another big influx yet, but I don't know, maybe they're seeing whether or not the food problem is properly sorted. But I think it's also a good time for a trading post. And maybe we can start with the bread as well, as bread production. So the nice part is, as you can see, even though at the early stages it's you know, the game's quite basic and there's limited buildings you can do. Now we've got lots and lots and lots of things we can do. And maybe the arborist as well might not be a bad thing. But fruit's not a problem at the moment. Let's go along and deal with some trading, shall we? So into amenities and services. Don't want the healer's house, do want a trading post. So let's pop the trading post down over here. I think it's a good place for it. And again, it's not really too big a deal where you decide to put it. As long as you've got a rough idea of what you're trying to do and how you're trying to lay everything out, and you just react to what comes up. The game is nice enough and shouldn't punish you too badly for making a mistake, especially on nice, easy, simple, relaxed mode. So the farm's going, so we can start to produce clothes. The other thing as well is, at some point we'll need to start thinking about clay, and that's also good for pottery. And how dull that sounds, but yeah, it's really important for trading. And you can see that it's really good. We've got a good area around for clay as well. I mean, not great for a lot of other resources, but clay certainly looks okay. Do you know, I'm probably going to shit a brick if I look over at OBS and it says you've got actually one person watching you. God help if anyone writes anything. But there you go. In order to get the first person, you have to start with none, right? And you've got to look on the plus side. There's many times Mr. Beast has done videos where, you know, he'll go off and find people that have no subs, no viewers. Admittedly, it's normally people sleeping, so I don't know whether or not they've been watching this stream, but yeah. I guess at some point you have to be found, even if by law of probability. Okay, come on, let's get us some more colonists, can we? There's certainly no reason why we're not going to get more colonists at the moment. Everything is good. The farm, you'll see, has now dealt with the issue that no interaction needed. It's just a simple case of a decent crop rotation and you're good. Weeds are coming down, rocks are coming down. And fertility, as much as it's telling you down, it's only basically telling you down because on this one, these aren't aimed at fertility. It's this one which is the fertility. I think these ones are nil. Either that or they're hang on, -1, -2, -3. Yeah, so they are bringing the fertility down, but -1, -2, -3 there, and I think that's a +3, so that negates it, and that's a +1, +1. So overall, fertility is going to keep going up to every single cycle anyway, so that's good. And these are going to take forever to build because we've only got +2, and now we're going to see, look, here we go. So the trading post needs more workers. You know, I think our whole place needs more people. But there's nothing you can really do to speed it up. All you've got to do is to keep your place good, keep it well stocked. It's like Field of Dreams or whatever it was, where they said if you build it, they will come. If you build this nicely, you will find eventually a group of people will come and join you. And I can't even say, yeah, look, my viewers are getting bored, they're all going to switch off, because they've got to switch on in the first place. Right, so I'll talk a bit about the trading post while we're here. So ultimately you can't trade out from anything that's not at the trading post. This is what the worker does. So the worker will go along and collect stuff from your storehouse or wherever the relevant store is, and bring it to the trading post. So you can see on here, for example, we've got 297 smoked meat. Obviously I'm not too fussed about trading that out right now because we've already had a little bit of a panic with not having enough food, so I'm going to leave that where it is. Pelts we're using to make coats. Coats maybe, but having 7, I mean, it not being funny, even in early game I wouldn't bother trading until you get at least 10 of something. Shoes is building up, which is good. You can see herbs are okay, but I might have to go and find a way to source those because otherwise the stone production, the soap production will stop. We've got some grain, which I don't even know where it's coming from, but never mind, we'll worry that in a minute. Medicinal roots are great. So yeah, so we've got a few bits and pieces coming along, so that's always good. Here comes a merchant already. Anyway, here we go. Right, let's have a little look so we can see what's what. So here we go. I'll pause it just so we can see, you know, what happens when you do get a trade. So here we go. You see, so what you're looking for is you're looking for the big green ups. This basically means that, you know, the general market price across the whole of the game. This is quite a big price that they're offering for it, and we do have 24 in storage. But you'll see that if you actually try and sell anything, nothing will happen. And the reason being because it's at this town, it's not actually at the trading post. And the same thing here for stone. But I don't care because I'm not really that fussed about trading pelts, but I'm going to do like a minor one anyway, just so you can see it. We'll deal with properly trading later on. So if I hit transfer and say, right, let's get, and you have to be careful with this because obviously it's used to taking hundreds. But right now we don't want hundreds, we'll take like 4 or something, just to show how it works. So we'll set it to set 4. If I unpause the game, whoever we've got, there you go, look, what a pretty woman, Delona. Delona's going to go off and grab these 4 from wherever she has to grab them from. She'll bring them back, and then we can trade. Now obviously just bear in mind the trade is only going to be there for an amount of time, so you can see 39, 38, 37, but here you can see the 4 pelts are now there. So now I can go onto here, sell in the 4 pelts, get the 44 gold, sell, and you'll see that now, but again at the trading post we've got 44 gold. If I now transfer from the trading post back to the town, 44 will appear here, and they can finish off these jobs. So yeah, that was a intentional why I picked 4. However, what you can also do sometimes, and again this is where if you've got money to do it, you can do it. So if we had enough, and I may well just do a few of these to try and accumulate some cash. So you can see on here, Trader 1 is going to buy pelts off you for 11, and Trader 2 will sell them to you for 7. So what I'm actually going to do is just do a little bit of right, let me transfer the gold back again before it gets spent. Right, so we're going to transfer the gold back to the trading post, which theoretically should happen. I'm hoping they haven't taken it to buy plants and gardens and stuff. And we need to get it done before, right, there we go. So now I'm going to pause it again. So here we go. So I can now go along and buy as much as I can buy, and this is going to be a really painful experience for how slow it's going to be. But I'm going to buy and stock it. So now we've lost the gold, but we've now got 6 in stock. I can go to Trader 1 and sell it back again. Sell it and turn it into 66, and then go back again. So you can see he's got 79, so I'm going to end up taking the lot. But it's just a bit painful, especially early game when you're dealing with, you've only got limited amount of resources. So buy 9 for 63, and then back to Trader 1. Now you understand why I paused it while I did this. Okay, so sell. Now we've got up to 99, so now hopefully it will be a little bit faster. It's not going to be quite that painful. Buy stock. Sell. I reckon 2 more and we'll have the lot. Buy stock. He's still got money, so we're okay. Sell the items again. There you go. Buy and stock. And sell them again. So now you see we've just made 384 gold off of someone else's stuff. So let's just see if, in case there's any more. I mean, that was a bit of a jackpot that came up, but you know, nice to see. So again, if we're looking at stone, so you're looking for big ups, or especially if it's going to go both ways like this, downs. So baskets and stone, and we've got baskets at 14 that he'll sell to me for 11. So that's not a bad shout. Let's just make sure it's going the right way. Yep. So again, we can make some money, and now because we've obviously got a little bit more starting cash, it's not quite so painful as it was before. Obviously just be careful that they've still got enough gold, because otherwise what you'll end up doing is getting caught with a load of stuff that you didn't actually want. So there we go, we can buy all that. Sell it back again. Now we've made 600 gold. Not bad from 44, right? Right, and let's see, what was the other one? Stone. Was it stone? Yeah. And I don't think they've got a similarity on stone. What about iron? Wants to sell me cheap iron, maybe? No. I can. He wants to buy wheat for 1. Just looking for anything that matches, but I don't think we've got anything else. But yeah, ultimately, all I ever do when I'm doing this is I look for the, you know, the downs and the ups, and see anything that's the same. There we go. There's one. He wants to sell me linen for 18. And he wants to buy linen for 15. So yeah, that works exactly opposite. That's totally not in my favour, so I'm not too fussed about that. And it's a shame we don't have enough right now to buy a cow, only because they're really useful. But we'll wait for them to come back. So all in all, I think that's been a fairly successful purpose of the trading post, and let you see how the trading post works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer some gold, go along, leave a little bit of a kitty in the trading post, so maybe we'll leave 200. Send the rest over to the town, so the town's now got some money. And I think at that point, only because I think the missus is about to appear, and no doubt she's going to want me to make a big fuss about, oh look, doesn't your hair look so different like every other wife, that after they go to the hairdressers, and we will make that big fuss about it. And yeah, even if it looks exactly the same as when she went out. But never mind. Right, cool. Thank you very much for any of you who have watched, if you ever do. If not, I'm talking into the ether. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this game, because I am literally going to religiously play it only on stream. So keep an eye out for any Farthest Frontier ones. What I'll try and do is I'll try and amend it. I've just realised that I've called this Farthest Frontier, but I will change that shortly. So yeah, keep an eye out. I'll start to name the videos, and then we can carry on from here next time. Guys, thank you ever so much for those of you who have decided to watch. Obviously, now I've got to do my like and subscribe bit. And I look forward, hang on, we'll call this stream 1 of many. I don't know. No, something like that. Stream 1 of some. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, and we will catch you the next one.